So according to this developer, the PlayStation 5 solid-state drive is going to revolutionize gaming. And you know what? He may be right. Let's get into it.
Skip it up and that up.
Now, Box Frog is a company that's developing a game called Lost Wing. It kind of looks like the Racer Wipeout, but it's a futuristic shooter. You could check out gameplay on YouTube. It looks fairly interesting. Well, what developer of the game, Tim Ash, had to say about the PlayStation 5 is that we're kind of underestimating how big of a deal the solid-state drive is going to be inside of the PlayStation 5. This is what Hot Hardware had to say about Ash's words. I'm going to quote here. There's a link to the article below in the description if you want to check it out. Ash noted that when he plays Lost Wing, there is a lot of respawning and therefore a lot of reloading. Ash also noted that while the game is very prompt on load times after the initial load, adding in a high-performance SSD for the PS5 means that gamers will see a larger general performance increase and more immersion than a lot of people realize. That should mean gamers who are just coming up a learning curve and tend to die a lot won't get as frustrated having to wait a long time for a reload each time they try and respawn to fight again. Now, if you remember back in late May, Sony showed off a demonstration of an area loading in Marvel's Spider-Man on the PS4 Pro as compared to the PS5 dev kit. And with the PS5 dev kit, it took less than a second. It was like 0.8 seconds for it to load into the same area. And on the PS4 Pro, it took over 8 seconds. Here I'm seeing on PC games that they said it took 15 seconds, but the actual video doesn't show it taking that long. So point being, we've already seen demonstrations of how much of a difference this SSD is going to make inside of the PlayStation 5. And as a person who's been on PC for ages, even just loading into a Windows operating system, I could never go back to a mechanical drive. You know, I mean, I understand that consoles are more optimized to work with the hardware limitations, so you don't notice the speed differences as much. But trust me, there's a video from Solid Rev, I might as well bring it up now. It's ironic that he made this video, and I totally forgot about it until I started working on talking about the SSD inside the PlayStation 5, the upcoming PlayStation 5. And he has a video titled, I'll have it below in the description. I bought an external SSD for my PS4 Pro, and it's awesome. And he talks about the Division 2. Now, he said that load times aren't that much different. That could be bottlenecks inside the PS4 hardware, obviously. But he said that fast traveling is much faster loading off his external SSD. There's less pop-in in the games. The audio glitches are not as prevalent. There's audio glitches in the Division 2. I haven't played that much Division 2. I actually just bought it. He said it just makes the experience with an external SSD on the PlayStation 4 with its hardware limitations. It still makes a world of difference and makes his gameplay experience better, even if it doesn't really help with load times. It helps with so many other things that it's still... There's less pop-in, so that makes the worlds more immersive. When you fast travel into Division 2, you get there quicker, so it doesn't break you from the experience as much because you get to fast travel quicker. There's so many benefits just to an $80 external drive. Go watch his video. He even demonstrates and shows gameplay of the differences with the Division 2 running off the 5400 RPM internal PS4 drive as opposed to this external SSD that he bought. And this is just an external SSD, a cheap one, for the PlayStation 4. So now with Zen 2, which works with PCIe 4.0, PCI Express 4.0, and it's going to be able to utilize all that bandwidth because the PlayStation 5 is going to use a Zen 2 processor in there from AMD. It's going to be a world of difference. As a matter of fact, Mark Cerny was actually talking to Wired, and he said that the SSD is a big deal inside the PlayStation 5. It's not just like plopping an SSD in the PS4 Pro or PS4. This is what he had to say about that. The raw read speed is important, but so are the details of the I/O mechanisms and the software stack that we put on top of them. I got a PlayStation 4 Pro and then I put in an SSD that costs as much as the PlayStation 4 Pro. It might be 1/3 faster. So what he's saying there, even though Solid Rev saw a huge difference in his gameplay experience of the Division 2 with an external SSD, it's not that Sony's just taking a solid-state drive from Samsung, plopping it into PS5 and calling it a day. They're working with Zen 2 and PCIe 4.0 and really utilizing all of that bandwidth and baking it into the PlayStation 5 so you could utilize all of that speed and really make worlds more immersive. I mean, look, go watch that video from Solid Rev. And again, that's just a plain Jane external SSD you got for $80 running with the limited bandwidth of USB 3.0. Imagine a built-in SSD into a console that utilizes PCIe 4.0 because that natively works with Zen 2 processors, and being able to build worlds around that. Imagine Grand Theft Auto 6 and there's never any load time. Imagine when you fast travel into Division 3 and you're instantly there. It's a big deal. Because how many times you play a game, even to this day, and if it's a big game, there's longer load times. There's long load times. And yeah, the developers are very clever and they're talented and they figure out ways. Maybe there won't be one big load time and then they'll stream the rest of the assets. But like you saw with Division 2 with Solid Rev, there was pop-in. Imagine there being no pop-in. You don't see buildings because come out of nowhere because the 5400 speed RPM hard drive can't keep up and stream the assets to the graphics processor and the CPU fast enough. So the SSD truly is a bigger deal than we realize. And this is a big thing, man. And I'm excited for it. And according to Mark Cerny, what they're putting inside the PS5 is faster than anything you can get on a PC right now. I don't know if that'll be the case in late 2020. Maybe we'll have the same tech that we could put inside of our PCs by then. But that's what they're saying. So this is good news all around. I'm really excited for the specs of these upcoming consoles. I was lukewarm on the specs of the previous generation, the 8th generation, when we were going from the 7th gen to the 8th gen. They didn't seem as exciting. But this time, they're really, really putting some amazing hardware in these consoles. And if they're affordable too, it's going to be a hell of a deal, man. I'm really excited for the 9th gen. This is Rich of Review Tech USA signing out. Have a good one.